Welcome to Inner GPS TV. Inner GPS is all about resetting your mindset and getting you back on track onto the path you are destined to walk. Our guests on Inner GPS TV have all been on a path of some sort or other, and they have found their way to something they really excel at and love. Today is no exception. Ciara Bruton has found her path to being a holistic coach. I'd like her to tell you about how she actually got on this path. You're so welcome, Ciara. Thank you for joining Inner GPS TV today.
Thanks, Karen. Delighted to be here. How I came to be a holistic life coach isn't a linear path in any way, shape or form. I'll take you back to, I suppose, when I was in college. I studied international business and languages, and the reason I actually distinctly remembered at the wise old age of 18 choosing this course, because I thought, right, I love languages, I love communicating, I love people, but I don't want to be sitting translating and, just doing text all day long. So I said, okay, I'm going to do business because then I'm going to be interacting with people. I quit that job with no idea what was coming next. And I suppose this is probably a pattern that has happened a lot in my time. I'm fine till a point, then I just get a kind of an intuition or a kind of a feeling, this isn't it anymore.
Thank you very much, Ciara. But a lot of the times, and I know I would get it, this is many years ago, I'd get intuition, but I'd ignore it because it was just uncomfortable. What you're used to, although it's not great, you're used to it. And so well done for heeding your own intuition and taking that great step forward. What came next then?
Then I realized, okay, well, I need to get moving again. And I felt like I really knew I wanted to help people in some way or work with people. So I said, okay, primary school teaching. So that's where I ended up. I worked for 7 years, and I was mostly with the junior infants, really.
Wow.
First.
Teaching is some career. It's a vocation. I mean, hats off to teachers. It's not an easy job. You said you spent 7 years doing this, Ciara. What was the impetus for you to leave?
But anyway, I went to India for one of the I suppose summers, and it was meant to go for 3 weeks, and I ended up staying for 5 weeks, or for 5 months, sorry. And I ended up doing like yoga teacher training, 10-day silent meditation retreats, chakra dance, massage. But I was being told very clearly in myself, school just I wasn't going in with the right spirit anymore. Do you know what I mean? My heart wasn't fully in it. I was there, but I was also then coming home and trying to figure out what was next. But I just was like, I couldn't figure it. So I decided to do what was logical, of course, which is quit my permanent job, and I took off again. And I went off to Australia and New Zealand. I worked in meditation centres and yoga centres there, helping out, volunteering and, working there. And I ended up meeting really nice people and figuring out, okay, what I wanted to do next, which was kids yoga teaching adults yoga with journaling and things like that, and also coaching. So thankfully, my realization has been to stop ignoring my intuition and things, and because it always leads me in the right direction, even if there's a big period of unknown in the middle, I always end up feeling more aligned and more centered with when I follow it. Yeah,
that's an amazing journey, Ciara.
Yeah,
and what's pardon?
Not a direct route anyway.
I don't think I've met anybody actually who's had a linear pathway to something like this. I think we have to stumble around a bit, appreciate what we're doing, learn and grow. It's all, I think there's lots of that go on. And so, but what I've noticed is when you talk about that, the passion that you have, the love you have for what you do, and I can see the skill sets that you've gained over all your interactions there. And that brings me nicely to when I asked you who the type of people you work with, and you said heart-centered, sensitive people. That was lovely. And could you explain that a bit more to me, Ciara?
20% of the population would be highly sensitive, and that's within people and animals as well. And how you would explain it is that highly sensitive people are sensitive to their environment around them, so to like lights, to sounds, to smells, to the physical environment around them. It might be sensitivity to their food, to tiredness, to their clothing, to fabric, to physical environment, and then there's sensitivity to emotions. So I know there are empaths, and this is being empathic, being really in touch with other people's, aware of other people's feelings, but also can easily get overwhelmed with their own feelings as well, and kind of feel things very deep. And then over to thinking as well, so thinking deeply and linking concepts together, and really I suppose being kind of quite introverted in ways in your thinking, to realize that what is really valuable about sensitive people is that they notice all the details in their environment, is that they're aware of the atmosphere between people, is that they're aware of how people are feeling, is that they can kind of understand within people as well. So I'm actually, within my job now, I'm using all of those skills, and that's what makes me good at what I do.
I completely understand what you're talking about. Having those qualities is brilliant if you're a coach.
Yeah.
Because you can tune into people, and you can really understand the nuances, and you can read between the lines, and you can actually feel what they're feeling. Yeah. So it's great for a coach. And tell me, if there's somebody out there listening who was wondering, wow, that sounds a bit like me, can you give me a few tips that could help them in their day-to-day life? What was the three tips, if you had them, Ciara?
So for what works for me as a highly sensitive person is, first of all, journaling, because that really helps me to basically externalize what's kind of can be going around in my head, and to really get things out and just make sense of things. So I'll just, if I'm kind of feeling a bit overwhelmed or too kind of within myself, I'll just journal and write loads. And then honestly, what happens to me is I kind of like complain at the start, then I end up kind of thinking a bit more objectively, then I end up figuring out solutions. So it's my way of talking to myself, where I can really I'm connected with myself as well. So journaling will be my number one thing. Another thing, I suppose, for people who are highly sensitive would be around what input you allow into your system. I mean, as I mentioned there, like watching things like watching the news, even in itself, as we all know, it can be very disturbing realistically, and just be a bit more, I would say, I'm very selective in what I allow in. And the third thing would be reading the book The Highly Sensitive Person, and doing working on your confidence in yourself, to realize that all of these sensitivities are gifts. So there's a lot of, I think, reprogramming within yourself, and I know you talk about that in your work as well, Karen. Reprogramming your mindset to know that this is a gift. The world isn't really necessarily made for people who are sensitive. The pace and the way that we're living at the moment, I think it's not suiting anyone really.
No.
But it can be particularly overwhelming, and the world really needs the gifts of the highly sensitive people, because it needs that softness, it needs that balance to the push that we have at the moment.
Absolutely, some great tips there. So journal, get your thoughts out on paper. So be discerning as to what influences you allow in, which I mean, I think we could all benefit from that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And super. Thank you so much, Ciara. Listen, I know you've got let's discuss. There's ways people can get in touch with you. I'm going to put up your email address and your website.
Yeah. You
see people in Athlone one-to-one, which is absolutely amazing. And you also can coach people online, like this Zoom. And you're also, you got an event, you're speaking at an event coming up. Can you explain what that is?
I have International Women's Day, there is an event called Build Your Confidence. And so it's in Athlone in the Prince of Wales Hotel, and I'll be part of a panel discussing this, and everyone's coming at it from a different angle. Lovely.
Ciara, thank you so very much. If anybody's around the Athlone area on that date, 7th of March, go see Ciara, go hear all about it. I'd say there'll be a very interesting panel discussion there. Ciara, thank you so much for joining me today. I really have enjoyed it, and I'm going to talk to you further once we get offline. But it's been phenomenal having you on Inner GPS TV. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for listening.
Take care, everybody. All the best. Bye-bye now.